Yoga and meditation are really good, but there's barriers to entry. So if you look at yoga, there's a lot of barriers to entry because,
Hmm.
some people have body shaming issues. They don't want to put on a leotard and go bend in funny ways in front of people. And then, I think 54% of the world can't even bend down and touch their toes. So
Right.
flexibility is an issue. And then performance anxiety, like, these people who's been doing this 20 years and it's your first day, you don't want to feel like, a loser in yoga class. So there's a lot of barriers to entry. And even meditation, there's barriers to entry because the world, and then what's the studies now? A goldfish has a better attention span than a human. So
Right.
we're all ADHD right now, and we're training our brains to defocus every time we're scrolling on social media. So it's really hard to sit down, sit still, and don't think a thought for the next 20 minutes. So, and when we do that, and we do have all these crazy sporadic thoughts, we feel like a failure in meditation. So if you have a busy mind or a busy life and you can't meditate, breathwork is the best because all you do is lie down on your back and breathe. You can bring your chaotic mind that has an average of 50,000 thoughts per day, and you can bring that with you. And instead of trying to calm the ocean into a still pond like meditation tries to do, you're doing something active and you're breathing out the chaos into calmness. So I love that about breathwork. And then also the results. Unlike yoga and meditation, the results are immediate and undeniable from one session. And I think that's important because we do live in a microwave society where people want to
Hmm.
see results and they want to see results
Right
fast.
away.
But
Right.
I wish I can go to the gym and walk out with a six pack. Like that'd be amazing, but it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So it's really rare when you find something that gives you, instant face validity. Like for me, this was it. So that's how it compares. So what it looks like is they're lying down on their back and they're just going through this very specific breathing technique for a very specific amount of time. And while they're breathing, doing this technique, they're building the energy and the oxygen in the body. And then the body starts to let go of things it's been holding on to. Now, not all the time does that stuff need to come pass through the veil of your awareness. Sometimes you're just letting go of things you've been holding on and you don't need to know what they are. Maybe the big things, you do need to extrapolate a lesson. And sometimes you need to feel it to heal it. So when I was
Mm.
going through my big breakthrough, I did this big ugly cry. Now, if you looked at me, you'd have been like, "Oh my God, that poor guy. Is he okay?" And but really, even though it was something traumatic from childhood, I was actually crying tears of joy. And when I was crying tears of joy, it was because I witnessed how long I was holding on to that and how deep it was buried. And when I felt myself let it go, I almost felt that instant buoyancy and just lighter. And I was crying tears of joy. So, people do cry during breathwork, but what they need to understand is all crying is a huge energetic release. It's a
It's
huge
healing. Crying
emotion.
is healing. You're
It is,
releasing
you know,
cortisol. I encourage crying.
yes. And, and also the eyes are the windows to the soul. So when you cry, you're cleaning the windows to your lenses. So you
Mhm.
get a new perception of life. And I think that's the beauty of this practice. It gives you that opportunity to do so.
The name of the book is How to Thrive in the Age of Anxiety, and it will help teach you and talk about some of the practice that we're talking about now. But it sounds a lot like going through this. So I used to teach yoga, and whenever I was in deep hip openers, I would start to cry. And like you said, the issues in the tissue. And as women, fun fact, we hold a lot of our memories and emotions in our hips because we have a lot of tissue there. So that would happen for me. Also, acupuncture, when they start to kind of open up some of those pathways and get more oxygen into your blood, I would often cry in acupuncture. It sounds like what you're doing has some of the benefits of those things that you're right, not everybody can do.
Yes. Yeah, we do hold a lot of energy and emotions in our hips, in our stomach areas, and specifically the stomach area. That what the brain will do, like when someone's going through something and you see that they kind of put on weight, well, we hold a lot of that emotion in our bellies, and subconsciously we'll put more fat on that particular area as a way to kind of hide our vulnerability of what's there. And it's really what's underneath. So the stomach and the hips hold a lot of that energy and emotion. And then when mine was blocked, this technique, it really moves that, like, that gut motility in the belly, and that's important because 80% of our immune system is located in our gut. 80% of our serotonin is produced in our gut. So that means 80% of our health and our happiness is in our belly. This is why gut health is so important. They don't say, I have a elbow feeling or a knuckle feeling. They say gut feeling because you have intelligence in your gut that's directly connected to your brain. So when you start to move energy in your belly, things open up in your mind. I know when my belly energy was blocked, I felt dumb. I felt like I couldn't connect the dots. Verbal, of course I can't say it now.
Now
Verbal
you don't have any.
fluency was completely off. I couldn't put sentences together. It was really tough, and it was a really hard time. And then when I moved that energy, it's like I got a reset on a computer. So it's kind of like when you have all these programs going in your mind and you don't even know that they're going. And then all of a sudden you do a reset on your computer and it's like, boom, you come back online. It's like, oh, this is actually how I'm supposed to be operating in the world, not how it was before and very bogged down. And I feel like, a lot of your listeners are probably dealing with overwhelm, burnout. I talked to so many people on burnout. We certified so many teachers that are leaving these careers and because they're burnt out. So,
Hmm.
this is a solution that I think it's my mission to bring it to the world because it's so easily accessible. Anybody can do it. And I think that's the beauty.
So you're saying energy, and I think people can think, oh, energy, that's kind of woo-woo, but we're talking truly about cellular energy and oxygenated. Now I can't speak. Thanks. Cells that have oxygen in them are healthy cells. And if you are always holding on and stressed out and anxious and you're up here all the time, you're not getting oxygen to your cells. And cellular energy is what we are made up of, which keeps us healthy.
Yes. You hear Gary Brecka talk about, that the absence of disease is when oxygen is present. So the more
Yes.
oxygen in your tissues,
And
you're going
Dr. Casey Means, same
to.
thing. She has a whole book about it.
Yeah. So there's so many benefits. Like in all the benefits we talked about isn't even my number one reason of why I like breath work, even though we talked about all. So for me, the amount of clarity that you get during breath work is so profound. And I have this saying, confusion is temporary insanity. And whenever
Mm.
we feel confused, it's such a disconnected place. And you could be confused about, should I stay in this relationship or not? Should I stay in this job or not? Should I do, X, Y, and Z? Take that risk. And we kind of go back and forth and, maybe we don't know what to do, or maybe even worse, we know what to do, but we don't do what we know. And we feel like we're going through life with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And, we create this inner resistance, and resistance is actually the cause of suffering, not the external circumstances. So when you do this breathing technique, what it does is it activates something in the brain called transient hypofrontality, a fancy word for flow state. So right around 8 to 12 minutes, the prefrontal cortex of the brain begins to quiet down. Well, that's the part of the brain that's our executive decision maker. It's the CEO. It says, this is good, this is bad, you're you, I'm me. It separates. But it's also that part of the brain that is the saboteur, the monkey
Saboteur.
mind, the inner critic.
Yes.
And when you quiet that down with this technique, and then all of a sudden you get to see all the pieces to the puzzle of everything that's going on in your life, and you can easily connect the dots. Like it just drops into your awareness. Like, oh my God, duh, that's what I need to do. And people get profound messages, they get clarity, whether it's on their mission or purpose or something so minute, like to call this person. Like, I don't know, I just need to call this person. And then they call that person, and then that opens up, this whole business opportunity or whatever it may be. Those are the stories that I love from other people. And that's why I do the breath work, because of it induces that level of clarity. And I just value clarity so much.
So you could have a whole catalog of breathing. I always go back to our bodies want to be healthy. The answer is here as long as you are treating your body the right way and dealing with exhaustion, anxiety, stress, trauma can be as easy in some cases as going back to different techniques on how to use your body, in this case, breathing.
Yes. Yeah, it's the secret sauce. And my job is to help make it accessible to, everybody. And at least, my intention for this podcast is, right, not to convert anybody to, breath work or breathology or whatever. It's to have gotten them curious, right? Were they curious? Did you get curious at all? Is there anything that piqued your curiosity? Because I don't think curiosity killed the cat. I think ignorance did. So when we have new information and you get curious, at least start researching it. Maybe, read the book or go on YouTube or try a session, for yourself.
Yeah.
Cause that's the thing about it is like trying to describe the effects of breath work is like trying to describe a kaleidoscope to a blind person. It's impossible.
You
It
have to
cannot be
feel it.
explained. It can only be experienced.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it is just to experience it for yourself and, feel the effects.
I also think it's another good option. As I mentioned, I was a yoga instructor, and we talk about yoga, and the benefits of it on your body, I think, are undeniable if you're somebody who can practice yoga and doesn't have the issues that might prevent you from doing that. But I know there's a lot of Christians who feel like they can't do yoga because it has its roots in something that isn't necessarily aligned with Christianity. So I say, okay, well, just consider it stretching. Go do a stretching class, but do the breathing along with it because the breathing is super, super important. And I think that maybe getting into a class that's just the breathing could feel better to some people than going into something called yoga.
Yeah. Again, that's another barrier to entry that breathwork doesn't have.
Yeah.
You're laying down and you're breathing. Like that's it. It sounds so simple, but yeah, it's so profound. It's wild.